Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In previous video, I have already shown you how to design this add new room user control. So if you have not watched my previous video, then just go to description. There I have put the link for my previous video, or you can simply do one thing, just click on the suggestion on the right side of your screen. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to backend code for this. Okay, so let me start with that. So first I'm going to close this. And after this, before start coding for this one, first what we need is we need a container to keep something inside this. In the same way, we need a database, we need a table to store data inside that table. Okay, so first open your Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio, and there you have to write this query, that is create database, and you can name whatever you want, but my database name is my hotel, and make sure of this capital and small as well. So by default this one is selected master, this one is selected, default is selected is master. So you have to execute this, and after this you have to search for my hotel. If you can't able to find that, then you have to click on this one is refresh. After this, when you click on this, you will find the name over here, and after executing this you have to execute this query, create table, and my table name is rooms, ROOMS, all in small letter. After this, first column is room ID, which is of int type, and identity, it means that identity 1, 1. It means that auto increment by 1. We don't have to insert any value inside this room ID because it's a primary key and it will be automatically incremented whenever we are inserting a new data. Second column is room number. Make sure you keep eye on small and capital letters. Okay, so here N is capital. So room number varchar, and it's of 250 size is defined inside this, not null and unique. Okay, so make sure you enter unique room number. If you try to enter the same room number which already exists in the database, then it's going to throw an exception. Room type, it's also varchar type, not null. It means that you have to fill something inside this. Bed varchar, not null. Price big int, it's integer type, not null. Booked varchar 50, and I have set the value for this one is no. Default value is no. It means that whenever you add a new room, initially it will be empty. So booked is equal to no. This will be assigned to this one. So pause the video and you have to execute this query. Okay, so now I'm going to move to the coding part. So we are working with hotel management video, so I have opened that. First thing what we have to do is we have to add one class into our project. Okay, so go to your solution explorer, right click on this, click on add, and click on class, select this class, or you can simply press shift alt and C. After this I'm going to name this class function and click add. Now our function class is added. Now inside this we will create few methods. Why these methods are created? First method I will create to make a connection. Second method I will create to insert, delete or update, to perform any operation on the database. Or third method I'm going to create to actually retrieve the data from the database. So this could be done in a single class. Okay, so the connection of data and to set a method, and these stuff we have to do only one time, and after this our coding part will become very easy. So I'm going to create a method for actually get a connection. So I'm going to write this one protected, so because we are not going to use this method outside this function. Okay, so SQL connection, you can see this, it's showing an error. Why? Because we haven't imported the library. So click on this and you have to import using system data.sql client. When I click on this, here you will find it's automatically added over here. After this the color of this one is changed and underlined red color is also removed. So now what we have to do is we have to name this method. So I'm going to name this method get connection. Okay, so here you can see this. Why I have written this SQL connection over here? This is actually the return type of this method. So this method is going to return a SQL connection type object. So that's why I have written. Here you will find Why this is showing an error? Because we have a return type of SQL connection. For now we haven't returned anything, so this error will automatically resolve when we complete our method. Okay, so first thing what we have to write is SQL connection is equals SQL connection con is equals new SQL connection, and after this what we have to write is con dot connection string. In connection string we have to write few stuff. So first thing we have to write data source is equals, and we have to copy this data source from over here. Open your Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio, and here you have to click on the file, click on this Connect Object Explorer. When you click on this, you will find a server name. You have to just copy this. I'm going to cancel this and move back, and you have to paste it over here, and you have to add one more slash over here, because if you don't add this, it's going to show an error. Okay, so now this one is added. After this what we have to write is database name, database. Okay, so let me zoom in a little bit. Database, and database is equals my hotel, and H was in capital letter, that's why I've written it. And finally we have to write integrated security is equal to true. Make sure you write T in capital. So now this one is done, and after this what we have to do is we have to just return the connection, return con, and here you can see this. Now error has been resolved because con is a object of this SQL connection type. Okay, after this now our connection is established. Okay, so whenever we need a database connection, we have to just call this method get connection, and we will have the object of that SQL connection. Okay, after this what we have to do is we have to write a method to get the data from the database. So data set. Okay, data set. So this is not showing because this is showing an error because we haven't imported using system.data. When I click on this, now this library is imported, and now we can use the data set. Data set is actually a type of object in which we can store the data which is being retrieved from the database. Okay, so this method will return a data set object. It means the data, the object in which data is stored when we fire a query inside on the database. Okay, so I'm going to name this method get data, and we have to type it. This will actually accept a string, that is query, except one argument, and I have, it's a string type and it's query. Okay, so it's showing an error. I have told you why, because it's expecting a data set object return type and we haven't returned anything yet. So first thing what we need a SQL connection. So SQL connection con and is equal to, we have to call the method get connection. That's it. This will return a connection object, and that will be stored inside this one. After this what we have to do is we have to write SQL command cmd is equal to new SQL command, and in this command we have to pass the connection. Cmd dot connection is equal con, and after this cmd dot command text, and this command text will be nothing but query. So this query comes from here. This is the argument which is being passed when this method is called. Okay, after this what we have to do is we have to create an object of SQL data adapter. Da is equal new SQL data adapter, and inside this we have to pass the command. And after this finally we have data set ds is equal to new data set, and da dot fill, and we have to fill this data set. And finally we have to return what? The data set. And now our error has been resolved. Here you can see this. Now we can fire n number of queries related to actually fetching the data from the database on this method. This method is going to be used for to get data from database. Okay, so here you can observe that first what we have done is we have created a SQL connection. We got the connection with the help of this method, and after this what we have is SQL command. We have created an object of SQL command and we have passed connection to that command, and after this we have written a command text to that CMD object, and finally we have passed that CMD into SQL data adapter, and with the help of that data adapter we fill the data inside the data set, and finally we return the data set with the data which actually is contained inside that data set. And now when this method is being returned on that side, we have to save that data into a data set, and we have to show that data into a data grid view or wherever you want. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to use this. And another method what we want is to actually insert data into the database. So we have to write public void set data, and this one is going to accept two stuff. First is string query, and the second one is string message. This method is not going to return anything because we have to set the data like insertion, deletion, updation. This type of data is not going to return anything when this method is called. Okay, after this what we have to do is we have to make the SQL connection as well. So SQL connection on is equal get connection. Here you can observe the benefit of creating an all method over here. Here you can see this. Now I have created a method for only one time. I have written these line of code only for one time. If I have not created this method, then what we have to do is we have to write these line of code two times. First over here and second over here. Here you can observe we have used two times connection. Okay, so we can use multiple times if we need multiple methods. So our code is now little bit compressed and it's looking very nice to actually you can identify which method is working for what. Okay, so now after this what we have to do is we have to make a SQL command. CMD is equals new SQL command, and finally CMD dot connection, we have to pass the connection CON, and after this we have to open the connection con dot open, and after this CMD dot command text, and we have to pass the query, and we have to write CMD dot execute non-query. We don't need SQL data adapter over here because in this we don't have to fill any data set, and even we don't need data set because by firing this query we are not going to receive any data back from the database, so we don't need data set to store anything. Okay, so we have to just execute the query, and after this we have to close the connection dot close, and after this we have to show a message that your task is done. So how to do that? That's why I have received a message when we call this method. So here we have to write message box. We have to use this message box, and here you can see this is showing an error because we haven't imported using system.windows.forms. Just click on this and the error is resolved. Message box dot show, and here how you have to show is user written message over here. So just double quotes, single quotes and double quotes because it's a string type, so double quotes and single quotes, and this one. And in this we have to write the message. Actually the message is like this. Here you can see this, and that's it. Whatever you pass inside this is going to show to the user when after the execution of this one. If you want to delete, if you fire a delete query with the help of this method, then you will pass deletion successful. Then the message box will be visible with the data deletion successful. Okay, after this what we need is we need the message box name. So message box name will be success. Okay, and this message box needs to have some button. So message box button dot OK and message box icon dot information. That's it. Now our method is ready. So we need two methods and our both methods are ready. Here you can observe in this method, let me explain you this one quickly. So this method is going to work for few stuff, that is insertion, deletion and updation. I'm going to show you each of this stuff, don't to worry about that. So with the help of this you can fire these three types of queries into the database. Okay, so now let's start with that. So first thing what we have did is we got a connection with the database. Second, we have created object of SQL command, and in that command we have passed the connection, and after that we have opened the connection, we have passed the query into the command, and after this we have executed the query and finally closed the connection, and after this we have shown the message. Okay, so now our method is ready. Now move back to our user control. So now here we go. So here first what we have to do is we have to actually change the text name for these stuff. So let me change the design name for these stuff. Let me maximize this one. So right click and go to properties, and what we have to do is we have to change this one to txt room number. Hit enter. Change this one to txt type. Hit enter. Click on this. Change this one to txt bed. And finally this one to txt price, and the button name as well to btn add room. Hit enter. Now we have changed the design name of all this stuff. So first thing what I want is when this form loads, we want that this data grid view needs to be filled with the data. Okay, so let me change the name of this one to Guna2 to data grid view 1. Okay, so first thing what I need is when this form loads, we need to actually fill this data grid with the data. Okay, so let me do that. Just double click on this empty space and this will generate a load event for this form. Just double click on this. You see add load event is now generated. So first thing what we have to do is we have to create a object of the function class which we have created now. So function dot new fn is equal to new function. So let me zoom in. So why I have written this function over here, because we have created a class with the name function, this one, and now we have created object for that so that we can use the method inside that function class, that is get data and set data. After this we need a string type variable, that is query. You can name anything, but I'm going to write this one query. Okay, after this we have to write the query is equal to select star from rooms. Rooms is actually my table name. I have told you that we have created a table with the name rooms, and I'm going to name that over here select star from rooms. So we have to select all the records from room and we have to show that into the data grid view. So now our query is ready. Now what we have to do is we have to call that method function fn dot get data. Here you will find this get data. In this, here you can observe it's expecting a string type argument. So I'm going to pass the query because our query is written inside that method. But here you can observe we have one small issue, that function dot get method and query will be executed, but when this query executes, this method, the get data method, is written in such a way that this is going to return a data set. So we haven't stored that data set somewhere, so we have to store that over here. So what we have to do is we have to write data set ds is equals function dot get data. When this method executes, this is going to return a data set type, and this data from that data set is going to store inside that. Now we have the data. So now what we have to do is we have to show this data into the data grid view. So how to do that? Okay, so let me add a breakpoint and let's see if this works or not. In the database we have these records previously. We have these 4 records. So let me move back over here and start this. I have added a breakpoint over here. Now I've started the project. Now log in, and okay, so we are here because we have coded on the load event, so that's why this started, and we are on the breakpoint. So I'm going to check this data set. Just click on this, and here you can see this data set contains all the record which we have in the database. Okay, so here you can see this. Okay, so now move back and let me close this and stop this one. Now what we have to do is we have to set this data set value to data grid view. So data grid view one dot data source is equal to ds dot tables 0, and that's it. Now start this and you will find that data grid view will be filled with the data. Now log in and click on this, and here you can see this. Now we have the data inside this. So this one is working fine. Now what I want is when I click on this add button, we need to actually fetch the data from these all text boxes and combo boxes and insert into the database and update over here. So let me do that. So we have to generate a click event for this button. Let me close this for this button. Okay. So just double click on this and this will generate a btn add room click event. So first thing what we want to do is we want to check that, we have to check that, let me minimize this one, that if these text boxes are empty or not. Okay, so just click on this and check for if txt room number dot text is not equal to null and txt type, and we have to check for that type dot text is not equal to null and txt, and finally we have type and bed dot text not equal to null and txt price dot text is not equal to null. So first thing what we have to do is we have to check that in the room number it should not be null. It means that it should contain some data, then only we can insert that data into the database. After this, if this condition fails, then what we have to do is we have to show user that you have to enter something into that. So in the else condition we have to show, let me just write message box dot show fill all fields. This is the message which is going to shown to the user when user tries to insert the empty text box data into the database. Okay, and this message box needs to be warning, and this message box button needs to be okay, message box icon dot warning. Let me just show you if this works or not. I have started the project. Just log in. Just click on this, and I'm going to click on the add room. Here you can see this fill all fields. The message is visible. I try to fill the first one, and after this fill all fields. When I fill all the data inside this, and when I click on this, now nothing is visible because this is going to be inside the if condition, and if condition is empty for now. So now what we have to do is we have to write the code inside this if block. So what I'm going to write over here is, first thing what we have to do is we have to extract the data from all the text boxes and combo box. So first thing is a string room number is equal to txt room number dot text string type is equal to txt type dot text, and finally we have a string, and third one is bed is equal to txt bed dot text. If you thought if something like this is in your mind, that why I have taken the room number in the text format or a string format, Let me tell you that I have taken that in the string format because some of the hotel may contain the room number like D101, 105E, something like this. Then that could be stored only in the string format. That's why I have taken this in the string format. Okay, so finally we have price. So price is the integer format, that is big int format. So we have to convert that. Whatever in the text box is in the string format. So we have to convert that into the integer format. So int 64 and price is equal to int64 dot parse. With the help of method parse, we can convert the string format to integer format. Txt price dot text, and now we have all the data into these variables. And after this, what we have to do is we have to write the query. So query is equal to insert into the table is rooms, and we have to copy the column name from the database. So our column name is room number, room type, bed, and price. We have to insert these four columns. So I'm going to copy this room number, room type. I have previously written it over here, so I'm going to copy this and paste it inside this. You can just pause the video and write it by yourself. And after this, you have to write values, and we have to pass the value. So it's an integer type, that's why I've used the single quotes, then followed by double quotes, then plus plus, and then double quote, then single quote. Within this plus plus, we have to write room number, and after this we have something called type. So it's also a string type, so we have to follow the same sequence. Type, and after this we have bed, and after this we have price. So price is an integer format, so I'm not going to use a single quote, just double quotes, and within this 2 plus sign and write price. That's it. Just close the bracket and delete the empty spaces. So now our query is ready. Now what we have to do is we have to just insert into the database. So fn dot set data, we have to call this method set data, and this method is not going to return anything because this method is void type. So that's why we have to just call this method fn dot set data, and we have to pass the query. You can observe it accepting two arguments, that is of query and message. So I'm going to pass the query, and second thing is message, and we have to pass the message room added. Okay, after this what we have to do is, what I want is this form needs to be reload. When this form reload, the new data will be automatically updated and shown over there. So how to reload that method? Okay, so let me show you first what the problem is going to happen if we don't reload the method, if we don't reload the form. Okay, so let me start this. Login. First thing, we have one small issue. What is that? When this form loads, what I want is this button needs to be clicked and the view needs to be like this. So how to do that? Let me just do that first, and after that I will show you what the issue will be there. Just go over there, just double click on this, and this will generate a load event, and here dashboard load. What we want is btn add room. This is the design name of this button. So btn add room dot perform click. You have to call this method. That's it. Now start this. Okay, sorry, we have added the colon over here, so I'm going to semi-comma, add semi-comma over here. Now started this, and when I log in, here you can observe automatically we have this view over here. So I'm going to add room number, that is 303. This is of AC and single type, and price is 5,000. Add room. Okay, and here you can see this. Now room is added, but it's not visible over here. So what I want is, as we add the room, it needs to be visible over here. So how to do that? For that we have to reload this form. So let me do that. Move back to the coding part, and here we have to add the reload. Okay, so what is the reload code? So we have to write UC add room underscore load, and in this it accepts two parameter object. So which form you want to reload this, and we have to pass event args e null. And in the load event, what code we have written is, in the load event we have written query, that is select a star from rooms, and that is going to extract the data from the database and save it in the data set, and then that data will be visible into the data grid view. Now let me start this and show you once again. Login. I'm going to add 304, room type non-AC, bed single, prices 3500, add room, click OK, and here you can see this. Now 304 is visible at the same time. And we have one small issue still remaining, that what I want is, when I add the room, all the data from this needs to be cleared. So how to do that? For that, just close this. We have to write one method over here. So after this we have to write one method. So which method we have to write is, I'm going to write this method public void, and I'm going to name this method clear all, and inside this what we have to do is txt room number dot clear, txt type, this is actually a combo box, so that's why selected index is equal to -1. txt bed, we cannot clear the combo box, dot selected index, and if you are thinking about to clear the items, then this will remove all the items inside that, because we have hard coded the items inside that, so we cannot use that. We have to use this one. Selected index is equal to -1, and txt price is equal to dot clear. Now this method will clear all the record, all the fields. Okay, so what we have to do is, we have to just call this method over here. So clear all. When you call this method, after the execution of this one, the data from this, all the text boxes will be removed. Okay, so now let me start this and show you this once again. Login, room number 401, I'm going to add room type AC, bed double, prices 8000, add room, okay, and here you can see this. Now data 401 is added and everything is clear. Now we still remain with few stuff, that is what I want is, when I leave this user control, we need to clear all these fields. When I reload, when I enter inside this, I want to reload this stuff. Okay, so how to do that? For that we have to generate few stuff. When I click on this, click on events, and we have to generate a leave event. Just double click on this leave, and this will generate a leave event, and we have to call the method clear all. Why I'm writing this? Because further in the next videos, what we are going to do is, we are going to add new user control inside these. Customer registration. When I move to customer registration, what I want is, all the data, previously added data like this, I add something like this, and I don't click on add, I move to the another one. So here you can observe that when I click on this, all the data is clear. Why this is? Because we are leaving this user control. That's why all the data is clear. I hope you understand what I have did. Okay, so and the second thing what I want is, when we enter into this user control, we want to reload the data inside this. Okay, you just click on enter, double click on this, and you have to just UC underscore add room load, and you have to pass the two stuff, that is this and second is null. That's it. Now when you start this, when you log in, when you move to the another user control, and when you move back over here and when you click on this, the data inside this will be updated. Okay, so that's it for this video, guys. In the next video I'm going to show you how to design for this customer registration. Okay, so just stay tuned and hit subscribe, like and share with your friends. And if you have not followed on Instagram, then follow over there and you can directly text us on over there. I'm going to reply for your queries and other questions as well. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe.